my son. The day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas.
My son. The day you were born, the forests of New Jersey whispered your name, Towellie. Yeah, I logged in last night and I set up my character because character setup takes like an hour on the stream and I didn't want to bother doing that. Dude, I forgot about glyphs, man. I forgot about glyphs. I had to like reel in my memory and be like, man, what were the best in slot glyphs for a prop paladin? And I sat there and I was like, 10 minutes passed by. I don't remember any of them. And I'm like, let me Google this. And you're like, oh, yeah, Hammer of the Righteous hits one extra target and Seal of Corruption. Yeah. Oh, I remember now. YouTube class guys for Wrath is going to skyrocket again. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure right now all the degenerates are trying to figure out, like, oh, does my Axaramus or does my, 4-piece set from BC stack with blah, blah, blah for leveling? Ah, there he is. Yeah, I copied my character over from the Burning Crusade with his right-ass sword that still never got fixed, I guess. And I noticed that, like, the pre-made 70 they gave us actually had way better stats than my piece of shit paladin, so... Well, I need gems, though. And a meta gem, and I don't have any. I'm wondering if I could log into Burning Crusade on my main character, just buy a bunch of gems, then copy my character over again, and then send it. Right? I think that's the only move. And there's not a lot of people in the beta. Like, there's as many people as there are right now just in Orgrimmar. Yeah, I guess can you just type in Northrend? Would that work? No, I guess you had to type in Borean. Yeah, there's 2 people in Borean Tundra. Oh, because I know where everyone else is. Oh, I see Fandy. Fandy is in Howling Fjord. Fuck Howling Fjord, bro. We go hard in this stream, bro. We go boring tundra. We go boring tundra, dude. All day, every day. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot that. We could probably have we could probably start a DK for fun too, just to remember that experience. Man, I forget, was that entire area voiceovered? I don't think it was. Maybe, well, technically, well, to be fair, I didn't really start listening to like the sounds of WoW until like mid-Wrath, so odds are it probably is. Dude, best thing about Wrath of the Lich King prop paladin, insta-cast Holy Shield, man. That's the first thing I did when I logged in. That's why I recorded it and put it on Twitter. I was like, get fucked. What is that gear? Is that blacksmithing shoulders? Oh, fuck if I know, man. This is like the pre-made character. Yeah, Rage Steel, Myrmidon's Hedgeris, shit like that. Because you have to remember, I think it was the 3.0 patch, when they nerfed Sunwell. That's the patch where all like threat generation from a prop pally became strength, right? Instead of like spell power. Although I still want to say consecration follows spell power rules for threat. I don't know. I doubt it though. Maybe they changed that to strength too. Kind of crazy. I don't remember the mobs being like this weak. They're kind of weak. They're very weak. And I mean, and the gear that I have right now isn't even like really good gear. It's like some basic bitch shit. After when questing became easy. Oh yeah. I think I remembered that after the first mob I killed and it just fell over after an auto swing and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so the gear they gave me, my trinkets are Abacus of Violent Odds, which is a haste on use. You can put that somewhere semi-useful. I don't know. Do I even use Seal of the Righteousness like ever? I don't think you do, right? Like, put it over here. And then Dark Moon Card Vengeance. Oh wait, I think I have the Hourglass, right, in my inventory? What do I have? Yeah, I have the Hourglass. Hourglass is probably better for leveling, I think, than Vengeance. Put that in there. What's your top 3 expansions? Like ever. BC, Legion, MOP. Those are my top 3. And then Wrath and BFA are kind of like tied together. Don't get me wrong. I know I talk shit on Wrath. You know, I look back and when I look at it now, yeah, it's a great expansion, great story, great villain. Back then I didn't know the story of the Arthas, so I didn't care much for this whole Wrath of the Lich King stuff. I just wanted good raids. I was a raider. I'm still a raider, but And when they reused Nax, bro, that was like stab to the heart. It's arguably the best ever. I mean, let's not get crazy. I judge an expansion based on the experience of when I played it, not when I actually learned more about it later. I don't my tier list of raids or expansions is not some sort of situation where I'm like, oh, okay, let me tell you how I feel about it now, and that's my opinion. My opinion will be like how I felt at the time. At the time, it felt kind of shitty. Hey, the Crusader patch. See, that for me it was different. Like, I actually enjoyed some of that shit. I enjoyed like the Trial of the Crusader, and the dailies were annoying, but the whole zone was pretty. I mean, Ice Crown as a zone was awesome. Ice Crown and Storm Peaks were great. Great quests there too. Lots of good mount questing that you kind of never got to see before, or a lot of in like VC or in vanilla at all, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I think people would expect Wrath to be one of the best expansions ever because it was the casualization of WoW. It was a more open WoW, 10 man, 25 man. A lot of people got to damn, this is almost better than what I'm wearing. Hey, it was different times. People appreciated this expansion because they actually got to play, and the people actually got to raid, right? Like, raid participation in BC and vanilla was like, raid participation in Wrath, fucking shot up. Everything was more casual. Everything was easier. Like, dungeons were a fucking joke. I actually want to see what this, what their harder version of heroics actually is. Yeah, I mean, there's, makes sense why, this expansion was so beloved. It was just easy. It was easy. It was fun. It had a good story, right? The raids were okay. Old War was probably, in my opinion, the highlight of the place. But yeah. Anytime I ran into it would be nice, but I realized the top guilds wouldn't like it. Yeah, man. I remember that shit was that shit was a real pain in the ass. When it was the whole if you thought EU versus NA Race to World First was bad, imagine a time where some guilds would get World First in heroic and then consider themselves better than the World First people that were doing 25 man. Right, like all that shit was crazy. Where's the other areas? Were they all down there? To be honest, man, I mean, I think with every classic, the hype on Twitch for that classic gets like lower and lower. Like when it was classic, that shit was crazy. That's where that beta broke almost Twitch records. Even when the BC beta was out, it wasn't really like all that exciting. Like it wasn't like 500,000 people watching on Twitch and shit like that. And I think it kind of boils down to the more classics we play, the more we get closer to retail, the less it feels like an actual classic. Like the quality of life just keeps getting better and better and better to a point where you're like, oh, like honestly, besides my UI, I could have logged into retail, shut off all my add-ons, taking one of my characters that's like, I don't know, level 60 or even like level 1 or something, maybe hide my level, start going around Northrend questing, and you would not know the difference because it's the same quests. Only the abilities on my bars would give it away. That's pretty much about it. Yeah, the abilities would give it away. But yeah. No auras. No, I got Diva Aura. So it's definitely fun to, like, you know, kind of fuck around and play here and be like, all right, you know, get a little nostalgic about the old Paladin days. But at the end of the day, you're just getting closer and closer to what, you know, the quality of life that we're used to in today's WoW. Like the ease of everything, the more solo friendly aspect of everything. You know, the need for us not to rely on each other to succeed. Whereas, you know, in vanilla and BC, you kind of had to rely on each other. Well, the way the game has evolved now is just kind of like the game evolving with the climate of MMORPGs, really. I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, I mean, personally, I think the game is better off today than it was back then. I think there's a lot more to do today. I mean, I think every expansion that I've played more hours of has been probably more of the recent than the past. I don't know, man. I mean, from a PvE standpoint, at least from a rating perspective, I've seen a lot of quality between Wrath and today. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say probably Wrath and Shadowlands are probably the two expansions that I've logged in the least to. I think those two expansions plus Draenor were probably more on the raid loggy kind of expansion side of things. More to do from a PvP standpoint. Single dungeon added this whole expansion. Yeah, but at the end of the day, dungeons are more relevant now than they ever were back then. Just saying. You know, dungeons during this era were basically like a 2 to 3 week experience. Then you really never had to go back to them again. Now, dungeons power your character, and they're part of the actual end game alongside the raiding aspect of things and PvP. Were there more dungeons? Sure. Do I wish today's WoW had more dungeons? Yes. But, I mean, at least from beginning to end, I'm always doing dungeons on a weekly basis. I mean, I think Mythic Plus was one of the best things that ever probably happened to WoW in general for, like, you know, the everyday player that can't raid. Gave you all bastards a fighting chance to get some damn good gear on a weekly basis.